The lawyer slid a velvet box across the mahogany table. I opened it. Inside was a single tarnished key. No note, no explanation, just brass and silence. Across from me, my brother Marcus leaned back in his chair and laughed. Not a chuckle. A full, chest-deep laugh that echoed off the walls of the conference room. A key? Seriously? That's what you get? He tapped the folder in front of him. The one that said he now owned our father's $12 million commercial real estate company. The company I had spent 10 years building alongside Dad, while Marcus partied his way through an MBA he never finished. The lawyer, Mr. Coulson, kept his face completely neutral. But I saw his eyes flick to me for just a second. What did this key open? I had no idea. But before you hear what happened next, drop a comment. Where in the world are you watching from and what time is it? It's 2 a.m. here and I still can't sleep. And if you've ever been the forgotten child in your own family, hit that like button. You'll understand why in a minute. Because that dusty old key? It took everything Marcus thought he'd won. Let me back up. My father built his company from nothing. Strip malls, office parks, warehouse conversions. He was old school, quiet. The kind of man who showed love through work, not words. When I was 22, fresh out of college, he handed me a binder of zoning maps and said, "Learn this." So I did. I spent my nights learning commercial codes, my weekends walking sites in the rain. By 26, I had flipped my first strip mall and earned the company $400,000. Dad nodded once and said, "Good." That was it. That was the praise, Marcus. He showed up to one board meeting in a wrinkled suit, and Dad spent 10 minutes telling everyone how proud he was. Golden child. That's what they call it, right? Marcus had charm, a loud laugh, a firm handshake. He looked like the heir. I just looked like I worked there. By the time I turned 30, I was managing the entire portfolio. Dad and I did site visits together, late nights going over contracts. He taught me to see what others missed. The clause buried on page 9, the hedge in the appraiser's language. "You've got the eye," he told me once. Then he said, "Marcus will grow into it. He just needs time." I believed him. I kept every email, every site report, every handwritten note Dad ever gave me. It was habit from audits, but it was also something else. Proof that I mattered. Proof that I wasn't invisible. I thought hard work would be enough. I was wrong. Until I wasn't. 3 days after the funeral, Marcus called me. "We need to talk. Transition stuff." We met at the office. His office now. He sat behind Dad's desk like he'd been there his whole life. "Look, I know this is hard," he started. "But we have to be realistic. The company's going in a new direction." I waited. "I'm offering you a junior analyst role. It's a fresh start. Clean slate. Junior analyst," I repeated. "I'm currently Senior VP of Acquisitions." He shrugged. "The salary's half what you're making now, but hey, it's stable." My throat tightened. "Or," he continued, "I can offer you $200,000 to walk away. Severance. You sign an NDA, we part as friends, no drama." I stared at him. "And I'll need that key back," he added. "The one from the will. It's sentimental. Family stuff. I'll give you $5,000 for it." $5,000. For a key he claimed was junk. I stood up. "No." His face changed. The fake sympathy dropped. "Dad left me the company because I'm family." "You?" He leaned forward. "You were just the help." "The help, 10 years. Tens of millions in deals. Late nights. Site visits in January sleet. The help." "You've got 48 hours, Marcus said. "After that, I'm cleaning house." "Your call." I walked out. I still had the key in my pocket, and I had no idea what it opened. The next morning, my corporate email bounced. Account deactivated. I drove to the office. Security met me at the door with a cardboard box. "Sorry," the guard said. He wouldn't look me in the eye. Orders from the top. Inside the box, a coffee mug, a stapler, a framed photo of Dad and me at a ribbon cutting. I was walked out like a thief. In the lobby, I passed Julie from accounting. We'd worked together for 7 years. I covered her shifts when she went through her divorce. She looked straight past me. No one said a word. That afternoon, a formal termination letter arrived. Restructuring, 0 severance. Signature, Marcus. I sat in my apartment that night, holding the key. Tarnished brass. No markings. No safe deposit number. No note. Just one more piece of Dad's silence. Maybe Marcus was right. Maybe I was never really family. I almost threw it in the trash. Then I saw the binder on my shelf. The one with all of Dad's old notes. I pulled it down, flipped through page after page of site reports and emails. And then, paper clipped to the back, I found an envelope. My name, Dad's handwriting. Dated 1 week before his stroke. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside the envelope was a single piece of paper, handwritten, Dad's blocky print. If you're reading this, you didn't give up. The key opens box 237. Trust the process. Love, Dad. Below that, an address. I didn't recognize it. I got in my car and drove across town. The address led to a private wealth management firm. Marble floors, soft lighting. A receptionist who checked my ID twice. Box 237, I said. She led me to a vault in the back. I slid the key into the lock. It turned. Inside was a leather folio and a USB drive. The folio was heavy, expensive, the kind lawyers use for trust documents. I opened it. The first page had a title in bold letters, The Steinway Irrevocable Trust, executed 14 months earlier. Grantor, my father. Trustee, a third-party wealth firm I'd never heard of. Beneficiary, me. I flipped to the schedule of assets. 4 commercial properties, appraised values listed in narrow columns. I added them up twice. $8.4 million. Dad hadn't left me a key to a storage unit. He'd left me an empire. And Marcus had no idea. I should have known Marcus wouldn't let it go. 2 days later, the family lawyer, Mr. Coulson, called him. Routine estate stuff. But Coulson mentioned I'd been to a wealth manager. Marcus lost it. Within an hour, I got a cease and desist letter. Allegations, theft of estate property. The key apparently belonged to the company. It didn't. But Marcus didn't care about facts. He called my aunt, my 2 cousins, told them I was contesting the will out of greed, that I was trying to steal what Dad had left him. My phone lit up. Texts, questions, accusations. Is it true? How could you? Your father would be ashamed. Then he went public. A trade journal ran a piece. VP dismissed following restructuring. The subhead mentioned performance concerns. Performance concerns. I'd closed $40 million in acquisitions in 2 years. But that didn't matter. Marcus controlled the narrative. He froze Dad's personal bank account, citing an estate audit. He filed a petition to void any side agreements Dad might have made before his death. He was tightening the noose. And I was running out of moves. Then my phone rang. It was Coulson. We need to talk, he said. Off the record. There's something your father wanted you to know. He gave me an address. A diner on the edge of town. Come alone, he said. And bring the USB drive. I hadn't told anyone about the USB drive. How did he know? Coulson was already in a corner booth when I arrived. He slid a folder across the table before I even sat down. Your father knew, he said. I opened it. Inside were 6 months of corporate credit card statements. Marcus's card, highlighted in yellow. Luxury hotels in Monaco, offshore gambling sites, cash advances, $340,000. Your dad flagged these 2 months before he died, Coulson said. He was going to confront Marcus. Then he had the stroke. Underneath the statements was a handwritten memo. Dad's writing, If I die before I fix this, make sure she sees these. Marcus cannot be trusted with the business long term. Protect the legacy, not the name. I couldn't breathe. Coulson tapped the table. The USB drive. Do you have it? I handed it over. He plugged it into his laptop. The screen filled with files. Contract amendments, signature logs, encrypted backups. Your father hired a forensic IT consultant, Coulson explained. Every time Marcus used his electronic signature without authorization, it was logged. 14 contracts, fake approvals, shell vendors. Coulson looked at me. Your dad spent his last year building you an exit ramp. He just ran out of time to tell you himself. Dad hadn't been silent. He'd been preparing me for war. Coulson walked me through the rest over cold coffee. Marcus owed $1.2 million to private lenders. Gambling debts. Monaco and Macau. The kind of debts that don't go away. He'd been siphoning company funds through fake vendors to stay afloat. Dad caught it during a routine audit 5 months before his stroke. But instead of confronting Marcus publicly, Dad did something smarter. He quietly moved the 4 most valuable properties, the crown jewels of the portfolio, into the irrevocable trust. For me, the company Marcus inherited, it was a shell, leveraged, stripped of its real assets. Coulson pulled up a balance sheet on his laptop. Before the trust transfer, the company was worth $15 million. After? Maybe 3 once you account for the debt Marcus racked up. So the key? The key was the unlock, Coulson finished. Your dad gave Marcus the title. He gave you the empire. I stared at the numbers. Marcus needed the company to look solvent. Just long enough to sell it and cover his debts. That's why he wanted the key back. That's why he panicked when I went to a wealth manager. He knew, or at least he suspected. And now, so did I. What do I do? I asked. Coulson closed the laptop. You do exactly what your father would have done. You protect the legacy. Now I knew exactly what to do. I hired 2 people. A trusts and estates attorney. The best one Coulson knew. And a forensic accountant who specialized in corporate fraud. We built the plan over 72 hours. The Steinway Trust had a clause Dad had buried on page 11. A key man provision. If fraud or mismanagement endangered the estate's value, the trustee could assume operational control of any related entity. Translation. The trust could take over the company. But I didn't want to run Marcus's sinking ship. I wanted something cleaner. My attorney made a quiet call to Marcus's lenders, the ones holding his $1.2 million gambling debt. We offered them 60 cents on the dollar. Cash, immediate wire transfer. In exchange, they assigned the debt to me, personally, backed by the trust assets. 1 signature. 1 meeting. No courtroom drama. Just cold financial leverage. My attorney looked at me across the conference table. Once you own his debt, you can demand immediate repayment or force him into personal bankruptcy. He'll have no choice. I don't want revenge, I said. I want justice. There's a difference. She nodded. Then let him think he's winning. Until the exact moment he's lost. 2 days later, Marcus sent a company-wide email. All hands meeting. Big announcement. Merger talks finalized. I bought a front row seat. The conference room was packed. 22 people. The full board. Department heads. And a team from a private equity firm in matching navy suits. Marcus stood at the head of the table, smiling. Thanks for coming on short notice, he began. I'm excited to announce we've reached terms on a merger that will secure this company's future. He clicked to the first slide. Evaluation. $3.2 million. Barely enough to clear his debts and save face. I stayed quiet in the back row. The transition will be smooth, Marcus continued. And I'll be staying on as a consultant. The door opened. Mr. Coulson walked in. Behind him, my attorney. Behind her, the forensic accountant. Marcus's smile faltered. Excuse me, Coulson said. We need to interrupt. He placed a document in front of every board member. This is Article 7, Section 4 of the Steinway Irrevocable Trust. It grants the trustee authority to assume control of any entity when fraud endangers estate value. One of the board members looked up. What fraud? My forensic accountant opened her laptop. The projector switched feeds. On the wall, Marcus's credit card statements. The offshore gambling charges. $340,000 highlighted in red. These expenditures were unauthorized and unreported, she said. Alongside 14 contract amendments signed using forged electronic authorization. The PE firm's lead attorney leaned over and whispered to his team. Then he stood. We're out. This is a liability we didn't price for. They walked. Marcus tried to recover. This is a misunderstanding. I can explain. Coulson slid one more document across the table. This is a debt assignment agreement. Your $1.2 million obligation to offshore lenders has been purchased by your sister. She now holds the note. Payment is due in full immediately, or she can force personal bankruptcy proceedings. The room went silent. The board chair, a man who'd known my father for 30 years, looked at Marcus. Effective immediately, you are removed as officer and director. Security will escort you out. Marcus stared at me. I met his eyes. Dad taught me to see what others miss, I said. I finally did. 2 security guards appeared at the door. Marcus left the building for the last time. Marcus declared personal bankruptcy 4 months later. I could have destroyed him, pressed criminal charges for the forgeries, let the lenders come after him with full force. But I didn't. I restructured his debt into a payment plan. No interest. Every dollar accounted for, but manageable. Because I'm not building a legacy on someone else's ruin. Dad wouldn't have wanted the family name dragged through court. And honestly, neither did I. Some battles you win by refusing to fight dirty. The trustee ran the company for 18 months while I completed an executive leadership program. I wasn't going to take the reins until I was ready. Actually ready. Not just because of a last name. When I finally stepped in as CEO, the first thing I did was sell 2 of the 4 trust properties. I reinvested the money into something Dad had dreamed about for years, but never had the capital to launch. Affordable workforce housing. Steinway Commons opened last spring. 112 units for teachers, first responders, healthcare workers. People who keep a city running but can't afford to live in it. At the ribbon cutting, I thought about Dad, about that quiet nod he gave me after my first deal. I think he'd have nodded again. A year after the board meeting, I got an email from Marcus. Subject line, no subject. Body, I'm sorry. I wasn't ready to hear it then. I read it once. Then I closed my laptop. I didn't reply. But I didn't delete it either. Some bridges you don't rebuild. You just stop burning them. The key, Dad's key, sits in a shadow box in my office now. Right next to his last memo. Not as a trophy. As a reminder. Inheritance isn't what you're given. It's what you're trusted to protect. Dad didn't leave me a company. He left me a choice. And I chose to be better than the pain. So here's my question for you. Have you ever been underestimated by your own family? Have you ever had to choose between revenge and boundaries? Drop your story in the comments. I read every single one, and if this resonated with you, if you've ever felt invisible in your own life, subscribe. I share stories like this every week. Oh, and one last thing. That dusty key Marcus laughed at? I had it bronzed, because sometimes the smallest thing unlocks everything. This has been a fictionalized dramatization and is not legal or financial advice. But the lesson is real. Document everything, trust the process, and never mistake silence for weakness. Thanks for watching.